Oops, I got it. Okay. At the intersection of the subversive and the sublime. So here's a photo of me taking a drug test at an Amazon fulfillment center in Coppell, Texas, because I wanted to create an installation, some temporary installations inside the warehouse called Vigil for Some Bodies that commemorated loved ones of Amazon Mechanical Turk workers. And I got not too far in that project, but I did get hired and I did make some installations and I did photograph them, but you can ask me about that later. I didn't get too far past security on my first day of work with the camera and these little candles. I'm off the screen. There we go. These are just some, and it's in no way holistic kind of fragments of inspiration, but I always appreciate it when people share what they've been looking at or reading or inspired by when they do kind of an artist talk or talk about their works in general. I developed a class that I teach at UT Dallas called Culture Jamming, and we use this wonderful anthology on NYU Press by Marilyn Delore and Moritz Fink. So I'm very familiar with this book because I read it every semester, pretty much every year with my students. And it's a great combination of theoretical texts, philosophical texts, and then case studies and artists' works. So if you're into this kind of thing, I really recommend it. And then, conceptually, I'm interested in practices like Oulipo's sort of historic way of bringing rules to writing and thinking about how writing can be informed or influenced by chance operation. And then there's a couple of pieces here that really have to do with kind of intervention. One is a work from the 1990s called My Nike ID by Jonah Peretti, in which Jonah asked Nike to personalize his sneakers with the word sweatshop and had a long paper trail or email trail, kind of documenting his journey of asking Nike ID for this intervention, and it kind of played out in text in a quite beautiful way. And then the other is the project Where's George, which is a project that takes place on US dollar bills. And actually I have, let's see there, I have one of these bills in my personal art collection, which is not a very prestigious art collection. But I do have one of these bills that has been stamped with Where's George, which is linked to now where'sgeorge.com. And it's basically a way to track US currency, whose hands the currency has been in. And you can kind of feel like this like paper or whatever cotton money that's in your pocket has had this lifespan, which maybe is already something that people are aware of, but then that you can go and see who had it in their pocket before you, or at least where they lived. And I think that's kind of an interesting way of bringing cultural awareness and art to transactional exchange. More recently, I have one of Joe Delap's In Drones We Trust stamps, which plays out on lots of different currency, bringing this sort of image of the drone to currency to kind of bring awareness of this kind of surveillance and technology into the kind of imagery of international currency. So, all right, this is a revised statement of what I think I do. And I feel like as an artist, we make these statements all the time, and then they get revised all the time. And sometimes it changes depending on who you're talking to. I feel like I have the kind of the privilege of being able to look back over a couple of decades of work to kind of know what it is that I do now. It's harder to write this when you're first starting as a young artist, but as an older artist, it gets a little bit easier. So these are the themes or the sort of repetitive interests that show up in the work that I make. One is to reposition women's history stories and images from the margins to the center. The second is to transform social media platforms into spaces that are places for communal play, memorializing, and poetic distribution. And the third is to create exchanges at the borders of art and language. These are just like themes. Like I can look at my whole portfolio and pretty much everything falls into one of these categories, or maybe sometimes there's like a twofer. And the project that I'm sharing with you today, Paying It Forward, it definitely lands in the second and third kind of categories. Okay, so I started this project last summer, and I'll tell you like emotionally where it came from, and then I can tell you like conceptually how it happens, I guess. The project really kind of starts with the call for participation, but ultimately it plays out on Venmo and then Instagram, and then eventually some kind of printed work. I have a couple of gessoed artboards that I can show you, and then I'll be working on some chapbooks later. And I do realize that Venmo is like kind of a North American thing, right? But Venmo, you know, is used to pay people and businesses for goods, services, products, splitting a bill, paying someone back because they paid for your share of the gas or the Uber ride or the whatever, or the meal that you shared or whatever. I noticed that Venmo has a social platform. So in addition to being a place where you can kind of exchange payments, there's a way that you can set that setting to private or to public. And when I had first started using Venmo, I had always set everything to private because I thought, why would I want anyone else knowing who I'm paying and what I'm paying for? That feels a little, I don't know, feels a little invasive. But then the more I've been using this platform, I noticed that there's a practice that's like real kind of popular, which is that people pay whatever piano lessons, let's say, and then they use the emojis and they like put a little happy piano in the message and they make it public. And so there's this way that you can like scroll through your Venmo feed and see what all your contacts are paying for. And again, like it just kind of hit me as being like this very strange way of being social without really being social, and sharing information that's kind of private, but in a way that is kind of promoted by the platform. And it just didn't land in me in the right spot. I couldn't really articulate what it is exactly. I mean, it seems like an invasion of privacy. It seems like a way that, Venmo then gets us to share what we're paying for. And then, so what can they do with that information? It just feels real complicated. But as soon as I, could sort of know that I was having those feelings, I also thought, what if we shared something else? I mean, like there's no one to stop us from sharing pretty much anything. I mean, I could write a manuscript on Venmo and like, they're not taking stuff down because you have words in the notes part. And so that's what led me to thinking about using Venmo as a platform for distributing poetry. And I started by just putting quotes by Marx or Emma Goldberg or people who write about capitalism, and sort of putting this on the Venmo platform so that my friends who were scrolling would see this as the note to my payment. And then I experimented a little bit and found out pretty quickly that you can pay somebody 1 penny. So like the smallest possible, currency value that we have in print, you can pay on Venmo, which surely it costs Venmo more than a penny for like several transactions. I mean, I don't really know exactly what it cost them, but I know it cost them something. And they leave person-to-person payments free. Like I don't have to pay Venmo in order to pay somebody a penny, because they charge businesses. So that's kind of their business model. So that seemed to me to leave a hole, a little space where something subversive could happen because no one's watching. So I developed a website. I mean, just an easy peasy card website with the Google form, and the place to explain the project, and then call for submissions. And my idea was that I would commission people 1 penny to write a poem in 166 characters or less, that would be distributed on Venmo. And then once it's distributed on Venmo, then I screenshot it and bring it to Instagram, where it takes on a kind of different aesthetic, takes on that Instagram reel aesthetic. It gets a soundtrack, it has some movement, and it gets a different sort of set of viewers. Let's see, this is just a screenshot of the bunch of reels. This one might play with some noise, and I think there might be another one. So I can show you more. In fact, maybe this would be a good time to like hop over to there. There's our Discord channel there, and find this. This is kind of a pretty one. Okay. I don't know how horribly loud this is to see them. Okay. Just to give you a few ideas. Okay. That seems like plenty of loud songs at 8 in the morning. So these are some of the ways that the project has manifested so far. Then I had more time to think about the project as I was kind of working it out and collecting poems and publishing them. And I'm participating this year in a program called New Ink, which is it's very cool, very supportive environment at the sort of center of art and technology. It's a program that's made in collaboration with Rhizome and the New Museum. And I'm working with Stephen Kwok as a sort of mentor, just sort of someone to talk to, right? To show work to and talk to. And when I was showing this project to him, he was asking me, like, how can you let people participate if they just don't even want to write a poem? Which is a fair question. So I also started a version of the project that is just a 1 penny payment that says pay it forward in the note, and that whoever receives that can pay someone else 1 penny and write pay it forward, or they cannot. I mean, I can't control what happens after I send someone a 1 penny payment, but the idea is that we could sort of put in motion this forward move of 1 penny payments on the platform. This is something I think we could do internationally. I just need to know, like, I just need someone else to start it. I think it's just like a matter of community folks getting involved. Okay, let's see. Then I started experimenting with some digital transfers. So this is a gessoed hardboard. It's 6 by 12 inches, and it's a digital transfer of an Instagram reel. Features Anne Bray's poem. And so making also of these pieces, these kind of printed objects, and Anne was happy to have me, make this on her behalf, and she will receive a print as well as for being a participant and letting me reprint her poem. I've experimented with printing on copper. It didn't quite go so well. I think I need to do a little more experimentation there, but I've been thinking about bringing it back to copper because our pennies were initially made on copper. So this is where we get to the part of like my ask for your participation. So there's a couple of ways that we could work together. One is if you have a Venmo handle and you share it with me, I will pay you a 1 cent payment that says pay it forward, and then you can forward it. So that's the easy one. Super simple participation, easy to do. And I would love to do that if I have people in the audience who are willing to be complicit. Second question is like about distributing printed ephemera. Do you know of places that might be interested in showing this kind of work, especially if they're connected to things like banks or monetary exchange? Easy question for thinking together. But the third and the real reason that I was hoping to connect with you all is for a workshop and poetry commission. And so this is where the real call is. And this is also where I would like to get your feedback about if it could be possible to do this on other platforms. So the idea is to write a poem or to select a quote that speaks to the dehumanizing effects of capitalism, or of paying online, or about seeing what your friends paid for. I mean, you can sort of tap into any of those themes, really. And to be honest, I don't edit and I don't say no. So really, whatever you send me, I'm pretty much willing to publish as part of the project. I can share a link with you to the submission form, but we can kind of open it just to talking now about the project, and also to thinking about how it could be put into circulation more broadly. And if you don't have a Venmo account, you can still submit a poem, and I will be happy to just pay a proxy, a 1 cent commission on your behalf on that platform, and publish your poem and keep you in the project. So I really would like to keep this pretty open. I don't really have I don't have a whole giant sense of control over all of it. I'm just sort of interested in moving the idea around and seeing what transpires. So maybe with that, I stop sharing and bring us to a place of just like talking together.
Rand, thank you for this. This is really great. Yay.
Thank you.
So on your request number 2, that note, I know that the British Library has they do lots of really cool stuff with their digital collections, and they are co-sponsor, roping in the sponsors of this conference. So I don't think she's here right now, but Stella Wisdom will be around at some point, possibly, and would be, I think, really interested to hear about particularly the ephemera and the effects on this sort of hard copy type artwork, and how there's the crossover from the digital to that aspect of the art. So that's a connection that's very interesting, especially in spite of the fact that you're in the States and Venmo is a very North American thing. Like we have no use for it here, because we can transfer between bank accounts, which having lived in North America, and in fact my dad lives in Denton, so hello Dallas.
Hello Dallas, hello Denton.
And so I know how difficult it is to get money from person to person there without using cash, whereas here it's super easy. But yeah, I love this idea, and I think that it would be fun to see what people write. So feel free, folks, to put 165 character poems into the chat, on the Miro board, through this submission form. I think that would be great fun to see what people come up with. I know Dina is writing one right now, aren't you, Dina? And we can, we've got, let's see, what's our schedule? We've got the next until past, and we've got the next hour to play with things like this. So feel free to turn on your cameras. And I see a poem there from Nancy. Nancy, do you want to, actually from MLK? Excellent.
That's beautiful. Nancy, do you want to say some words about that? I love that.
Oh, I don't know. It's just that, I mean, it was a holiday yesterday, and it's just poverty and racism and militarism are the three evils that he discussed so much about, the threats to humanity. And it's just something I've been thinking about.
Yeah, I mean that's like a perfect fit for what this project is trying to do, is to like expose this type of language to a platform that is just not concerned, and to kind of bring it. Mark, I saw Mark Marino's like liking, you like people's Venmo's transaction to ironically support their use of capital. That's on brand for you, Mark. I like that a lot. To all those who cannot read it. Yeah, that's lovely. I love it. I love it. These are so
and I'm
great.
wondering too what you do with the email addresses that you ask for as we
Yeah.
submit.
Yeah. And
How's
you can
that?
submit the form without putting that in as well. But I just capture them so that, like, for instance, but for one thing, projects change, as an artist, it's like things change as you work it, and you kind of 1 month later you go, oh, I could do this, and so I wanted to capture a way to get in touch with people in case, I made a gesso artboard of your poem and I want to reach out to you and say, hey, do you want one of these, or do you want to print, or can I give something back to you because you've participated and then I took it and did this other thing. So I could imagine doing, a chapbook just from Unconference poems. If we generate enough poems, I think there could be a chapbook that's just from this session. And I would love to send everyone who participated one. So if I have your email address, I can do that, or, get on Discord as well, of course. But I went and did a talk that wasn't really specifically about this project, but with the group of students. And then I brought this project kind of into it, and a bunch of them wrote. And so that's when I put the request for email in there, because I realized that I would have had no way of contacting them otherwise, because they weren't my students and it wasn't my university. And it seemed like a good way to be able to reach out to people and tell them that I've published their poem and this is where they can see it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I generally operate on the idea that if people participate in my project in some way, that they should get something back. I mean, it maybe the getting something back is the participation, but I really like to give people something, whether it's digital or ephemeral, just that there's real exchange of energy happening as well. Have I received poems about Venmo payments? Yeah, I haven't received that. I would love you to try that, Mark. Please do. Where can I post? Johanna, you can post it right here in the chat, or you can post it.
Yeah.
There's a, I think Dean, Lyle and Dina both, I think, shared this link. Let me make sure it's the right. Yeah, this link will get you to the submission form. I'll post that up again.
Yep. I did just try to submit without an email address and was not able to do that.
It didn't do it? Oh.
That it was required.
Google. Sorry about that.
Google.
I thought it wasn't. I thought it wasn't.
I'll
That's
mute
okay. But put your poems here, we can submit them for you, but of course it would have our name on it. So we would be doing appropriation.
If you put it here, I'll see your
boy.
name, and I've got you on Discord, so that's not hard. I can navigate that.
Well, how
yeah.
can we see the poems that people have been putting in?
So there's a link on the primary page here. Let me get to that. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Let me see. So here's the like primary, I can't afford rent anymore. Awesome. Tegan. So that's the main page. And then there's a link to, let me get to it. You can submit. And if there's more, discussion on that page too about the, that this is a project that is published with a free license. It's got a Creative Commons license on it. So nothing is under copyright or anything like that. There's also a link to this spreadsheet that's on that same page, where you can see what other people have posted. Mark, the length is 165 characters or less.
You know, what would be fun is with Leonardo Flores's Twitter bots, it would be really interesting to just have a generative set of words for capitalism and then just have the AIs fight this out.
Be
And I
amazing.
wonder then if AIs could pay other AIs and then you get AI into capitalism.
That would be incredible. We need to talk.
Oh no, I'm not going to do it.
I think
Patrick
that
can do it.
spells the end of the world.
It's the end of the world.
I think capitalism spells the end of the world, and then you add AI into it, and it's just a spiral into Bitcoins playing Bitcoins and paying Bitcoins and skipping humans altogether, and then burning up the atmosphere because it takes so much energy to mine Bitcoins, and then once they start mining each other, it's all over. That was fun. Doom and gloom from Lyle. January 17th, 2000.
It's all over. That's it. We're done. Gosh, these are great. I mean, honestly, everything you're putting into the chat, one micropayment at the time. Yes, Hannah. Oh my gosh. I've had other people who I've had poets tell me how they both kind of let me say they appreciate the idea of getting paid 1 penny for their poems, because it's such a poetry is a hard industry to break into and make any money out of. Let's just put it that way. And so and so the idea of kind of flagging that, and it sort of makes a statement to say, I'll pay you 1 penny for your poem. And so there's that kind of angle that's also been sort of thought about a little bit. And on the other side, a long time ago, that's right, you have a paid commission. That's exactly right, Dina. That's exactly where I was going next. A long time ago, I received a payment from a group, and they were called ASDF, like that. And I've like Googled them and I can't find them. And I don't know if they were like a collaborative that were around for a little bit of time and then dispersed or something, but it was probably 2008 or 2009 when this group ASDF had micro commissions that they were putting forth, and it was a $1 commission, and they had 100 of them, and I received one of them, and I used it to make a book of 100-page book of also work. Me and the workers on Amazon Mechanical Turk, just always going at it. And I paid them a penny for their thoughts, like literally a penny for their thoughts. And I collected 100 thoughts, and I made this book out of that $1 micro commission. And so, doing a sort of 1 cent micro commission is I'm definitely leaning into, that experience of having been the recipient of a $1 micro commission. But I also really, like the idea of giving commissions of like anybody can be a published poet who can say, I've been commissioned for my poetry because I have no reason to filter or edit who participates in this project. And I kind of like the idea of debunking some of those things that we hold in such high esteem, like commissions and publishing. Yes, Johanna, submit it here. We'll get it going.
And actually, it would be really good, Johanna, if you and others in other countries, if you could try just the Google form and see if that will work, because I've been submitting some that haven't required a Venmo. I don't have a Venmo account. I'm one of those Luddites.
Yeah, you can submit without any accounts. You just agree to not get the 1 penny. I could probably put 1 penny in the mail to you. It might cost me several dollars, but I could give you 1 penny when I next see you at the next in-person conference.
Nancy, do you think you could create a little account for Hazelton the cat, and Hazelton can put his own ideas in? I may be misgendering your cat.
May I ask a question?
Go for it,
Please.
Hannah.
So I'm curious. I don't have Venmo because I'm in Norway, but we have a different app called Vips. And I don't think, there's a chance I just turned it off when I made my profile. I don't think there's anything public about it, but I do have that I can, and I checked that there's no personal information on this page.
Okay.
I can send someone money. So this is me to Jill.
Yeah.
And then I have a chat function. So something I could do is send or request
Hello.
money.
Please, how can I get okay.
Go ahead, Hannah.
Oh, sorry. So I can send money and I can request money and I can write a message. How do you think that with this app, when it would only be a one-on-one, how your project would work out? Should I request a penny or 1 crown Norwegian crown from Jill and say, if you send me 1 crown, I will send you a poem, or the other way around? What do you think?
You can do that. I'm really open to your kind of take on it. I would be inclined to send 1 crown to Jill with the message, pay it forward, and see if Jill will send 1 crown to somebody else with the message, pay it forward, and see if they will send 1 crown to somebody else with the message, pay it forward, and so on and so on. But I also would be happy for you to experiment with it and ask Jill for a penny, and in return you will send a poem. I mean, that's another interesting way to think about it. And then, and then there's a Norwegian spin on the project, just like that. See, look at that. In One Unconference, we've internationally published and expanded a project across the oceans. Extortionist poetry. I know. Oh gosh.
Johanna, Johanna, did you want to ask a question? Maybe not.
I think
Feel
it's
free
going to
put
be
it
easier for Johanna. And
into
also,
the chat.
answer stuff in the chat. We are monitoring that, so if there's bandwidth things, go into the chat as well.
Yeah,
But it's really fun to see these.
It is really fun. This is like the best start to my morning ever, of like reading these awesome poems. Nancy, do you want to voice on and speak your poem out loud, your Dirty Dancing poem? I love it.
Sure. It was a response to Yeats, the slouching lion. So dear slouching lion man, laboring love is resurrecting the too long eclipsed divinity, long hidden in eternity by humanity. Worship my coming. Yours truly, Aphrodite.
Oh, I just love it. I love that it's a poem and it's also a love letter. It's wonderful. Because I sometimes think about this project as a sort of anti-love letter to capitalism. So you're just like really playing with the medium there. And then Chat GP. Sarah, do you want to read the Chat GPT poem?
Sure. And I'm sure this cost another corporation at least a penny to generate
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
But yeah, so it says, Venmo, a symbol of capitalism's ease. But for the marginalized, it's just another tease in a system that perpetuates inequalities with such ease.
Beautiful.
Not bad.
That's amazing. That is really amazing. Poetry is really meant to be spoken, and I need to think about that. That's a part of the project that I haven't quite dealt with. And yeah, maybe thinking about some automated voices speaking these poems as another kind of iteration on the project would be a good way forward. The monkey tail, Dina. Yeah, that's great. Costing the company on the transaction is an important part of what's happening, I think. So even if I collect like 20 poems a month and do this, kind of sporadically, I do think I'm like chipping away just a little bit at the greater kind of bank out there. Yeah, the music of the language in an automated voice. I don't know. I think it would be lost. I mean, it would definitely be lost. It would sound like capitalism, wouldn't it? Yeah. Oh, you do. Yeah.
I would think that PayPal, you could do it as well if you do the.
I can do it. Yep.
Yeah.
And there's a place in the form that if you have a PayPal or a cash account, you can tell me your handle and I'll send you a penny on one of those as well. Those are the things I have access to, being where I am: PayPal, cash, and Venmo, and Zelle, I guess. And needless build up, Mark. Okay, we can't wait. Well, Mark, when you post it, you're going to have to voice on and read it to us, please, with all that build up.
Is there a way to attach an audio wave file to transactions or anything?
Oh, that's a great idea. Maybe in another version. I mean, I for sure could put a upload link into that Google form if you wanted to record. Yeah, I could add to that Google form pretty easily. That's a terrific idea, and then collect some audio bits. I'm going to make a note of that. Thank you for that. It's a terrific idea. Okay.
You
Then
did it.
Very fun. So
Yeah,
Chris,
I don't know if it counts as
xtine,
poetry, but
it counts. Xtine, what can you talk a little bit about the character limitations and the thought behind that?
So
I
Venmo
don't
has
even
a
know if
set.
Mark's would make it.
I think it. I have to check it, but I think it would. I'm operating on the character count that Venmo has in place, which I'm not going to remember off the top of my head, but it might be something like 265. Because at the end of everyone's poem, I append it with that little blurb that says, "By reading this, you are participating in paying it forward, a poetry intervention project on Venmo or on social pay outlets," or something to that effect. And so I had to have enough characters for that little blurb. And then ask the poets for, the rest, so that because otherwise Venmo won't send your payment. So if your note is too long, it won't send the payment. So you have to, and that was also a little bit of a trial and error thing that I figured out, but I think it's 165. I think you get 165. Let me double check it. So I'm telling you the right thing.
Mark, I think you need to read it.
On Venmo, 165 characters. So
I think we need the performance, Mark.
yeah, we definitely need performance.
Okay, but I got 4 characters to cut, so I'll work on that during the rest of the workshop. All right, I'm happy to read it, but then know that don't hold on too tightly to any of those characters, because they may not make it. All right, I gotta open up on my phone. Okay. Venmo. Blowout in color. Pizza and drinks. Tuesday night. Child support. Coffee. Aspirin. Why do you want me to see this trail of your tries to buy some bliss? I can't help but like them all. All right, there you go.
I love it. I love it.
Is there a way we can like tip somebody for reading out loud?
I know, we should have a tip jar. This workshop comes with a tip jar.
I also there's a parallel here with viral social media posts, right? Where directly underneath they're like, oh, my post went viral, here's my Venmo link,
Yeah.
I gave you content, now
Yeah.
buy me groceries sort
Yeah.
of thing. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Another friend of mine took a receipt from whatever, I don't know what, groceries or whatever, and made found poetry out of the words from the receipt. So that's another way to kind of think about some language that might be generative in a project like this. But I really love all the different ways that people come to this, and that's really part of it. It's 165 characters. That's a part of kind of making a project that is open for participation. For me, is really kind of truly leaving it open to be developed in some ways by what the participants do. So I give some ideas about what the poems might be about, but people bring things to it that I wouldn't have imagined. And that's why it's participatory, is we make it together, and Venmo started it, really. They started it by having that public area. Follow the money and not the words. That's beautiful. Yeah. So many great poems in here. I can't wait to make a chapbook of just unconference poems. It's gonna be fabulous.
I can't tell if people understand that their blogs are seen by other people. I guess that's why I like them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know if people even think, oh wait, it's like default is a public post, or it's like
Right.
this is going to be public. People are going to be reading through people are reading through these routinely.
Right. And yeah, that's also another kind of, little bit of a jab that the project takes. But I was sharing this I have a friend who teaches English Lit in Pennsylvania, and I was sharing this project with her and asking her if she'd have her students consider participating. And when I stepped her through and she's not super technically, interested. And so when I was stepping her through the project, and she has Venmo. I mean, we have Venmoed before, this friend and I said, make sure your post is public, but also be conscious that if you make a public post, you also open you also open yourself to being hacked a little more easily. Like if you wanted to publish, right? So I'm the one that puts myself in that position. So I don't ask anybody else to make their posts public. And then, she was really surprised. Like, what do you mean public and private? And I said, by default, it's public, and you should, consider changing it to private when you're paying someone. So, and I do have a link, like I do have an image of that on the main page for the project, like an image of where you switch your Venmo payment from public to private, because I think you're right, Mark. People don't, pay attention to all those details necessarily. Yeah, the default is public. The default is private. That's great. The default is public. The default is private. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Dylan. Oh, would rather not read aloud. Okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I'm going to read Dylan's on behalf of Dylan, if that's okay with you. Seeking labor that doesn't feel like it's slowly peeling my skin off or leaves my dreams as untouched as possible, or an end to labor. HMU if you hear of anything. Yeah, it's great. Thank you. Great with your PayPal. Awesome. Awesome.
Can you track the submissions on your end, xtine?
Yeah, and so
live
yeah, I could go live and look. The page that shows what's been, I have to update it for it to right. So right now you won't see everything that's in, but after I'll update it after our workshop, and then you could see everything that's in there.
Yeah, please share that link where we can see
yeah,
what's
I
been
will.
submitted even now. I'd love to see them.
What of me that didn't write my name to my poem? I didn't include my name.
Did you put it in the chat, Johanna? Or did you just submit it?
I thought I saw something. Oh yeah, it's in the chat. Do you want to read it? Maybe xtine. There it is.
Oh, okay. And I was like, I don't know. I don't see. Oh, via chat and Google form. Okay, I don't see it in the chat, but I can go look on Google. If you give
I
me
just
one-
retyped it. Yeah,
Oh.
good.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. All right, this is Johanna. Let's see. It's my life lives in the cave called freedom. My life is moved by special lives that behave not for gloom and doom, but for creating a room for others to live. I love it. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. Oh, Tegan, would you like to read?
Yeah, sure. Money is a construct built from nothing. Gold or paper, shells or data string. In the end, it won't mean anything.
That's lovely. I have a friend who was just reading a book about being human, and she just sent me this quote from, and I would love to tell you what the book is, and I don't remember it because she said it and then I forgot it. But the essence of what she was saying is the idea that that money might, if there's one way to think about money, which is that perhaps it has an expiration date, because we often don't think of money like that. And so your poem reminded me of what my friend was talking about, the idea of kind of rethinking our relationship to money.
There was similar book. It may have been the same book that I read. But talking about how money is just a story we tell each other. It's just an idea. It's all imaginary. It's a story that we tell each other that, hey, this stands for my 1 hour of shoeing horses in exchange for your 2 hours of cooking food. And so it's this collective storytelling that we tell based on that, and these currency systems. And it's amazing the stories that we've built on top of that story, that absolutely imaginary object, from stock exchanges and all of that sort of thing, because it doesn't exist.
Right. Yeah.
The plums.
Yes, I know. I'm just looking at that. Thank you for this is just to say riff, Mark. That's really terrific. There's a really great This American Life episode about that poem, just totally taking us off topic, but it's really fabulous. And if I can find it, I'll share it with you.
I feel like there's a great This American Life episode for almost.
I know. I know. It's true. This might be, oh no, there it is. It's called Mistakes Were Made. It's real. I've shared this with a lot of people because it's really worth listening to. So if you're interested, there it is. More Than Horseshoes. Yeah, Dina, totally. Jeff Bezos. I know. So true. Poetry is never off topic. Hey, organizers, will you be able to export the meeting chat and share it with me?
Yes.
When we're, okay, great. Because I've been thinking, how am I going to I want to do I need to take
I have
screenshots
also
every
been copying and pasting everyone's poems
you're amazing.
into the Miro board.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's fabulous. I wouldn't pay that much for one of Jeff Bezos' seconds. I wouldn't pay that much. Yeah.
No, he's real creeperific.
Whoops.
As all the billionaires are, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And this could actually, I was just thinking about that, xtine, this could really be interesting in certain political groups. If you would just say, hey, everybody write a slogan. Slogans are poetry.
True. That's true.
That would be fun too. And mottos, and memes. That'd be fun.
It would be really fun.
Yeah, there's so much here that we can do.
Yeah, that's a terrific idea. Dina, thank you for that.
Are there other places that folks can think about where this could really be a subversive literary slam?
The poetry that there's another one from Johanna. But what I love is, and I started doing this at ELO in Cork, was taking pictures of what people write on bathroom walls. I love it. And I especially love some, because in the bathroom there, it was really affirming messages from women to other women and trans women and non-binary. And it was so of course now I'm not in public very often now, but yeah, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
xtine, will you read Johanna's poem?
Yes, absolutely. So this one is from Johanna and it goes like this. My life lives on honey called money. Making money in the morning is honey, not for gloom and doom, but for creating a room for others to live. Ooh, but there's an edit to just leave it at doom. Okay, got it. Great, Tegan. Do you want to voice on and say it again?
Sure. Musk, Bezos, Gates, Buffet, Page, sitting on hordes of money is all the rage.
And I will tag all of them when I post it to Instagram when we get it there.
Nice.
So yeah, Dina says we have about half an hour left in the workshop. It is totally, I'm having a blast, and I really appreciate you all for participating in this poetic adventure. But we don't have to use the whole half hour. You know, we can also take a break or, you know,
It's up to you. You're the leader.
think in other directions. It's this is a pretty it's a micro commission, and it's a micro effort. So if we want to land at 9 or at 9:10, we absolutely can do that, and then give ourselves
The
a
other
little
thing I was
time.
just thinking about too, and I can do this off my Discord if I switch over. We were playing in the previous workshops about AIs talking to other AIs. What would be interesting is to have these poems as prompts in like Mid-Journey. Can you put graphics to any of this when you do your collections? How do you feel about graphics as poems?
Yeah, I mean, well, I end up sort of developing the graphics by screen shooting them from what ends up playing out on Instagram. So these graphics do end up kind of getting made. Let me see if I can find a few more of those, because I have several of those gessoed artboards that I can share, and you can see, because they take on, and they look real, like that sort of Instagram aesthetic, but let me just find them real quick.
So
Yeah,
I am taking what we have so far and just putting them into Discord and into Mid-Journey, and then I'll try to copy those in. I'm not playing around with too many variations. Just what comes.
Here, I'll share my screen again for 1 second and just show you just 4 more of those, or maybe it's 3 more, because it's the one with a couple others. Here's what they look like. And so if you're real familiar with Instagram, then you probably even know like which effects were used or whatever to make them kind of take on this look, but they get also real distressed by the transfer process that I print with, and they become more abstract. And I really like that about kind of taking them from like this sort of, you know, text exchange that then goes on Venmo, that then gets screenshot, and then it goes to Instagram, and then it has its own sort of time-based life there. And then in the printed form, it sort of has a different sort of phase of its life, I think, as a sort of artifact. And I imagine that those could probably be fed into some kind of AI feed.
Yeah, you can feed pretty much anything into them, but that would be fun.
Yeah, it really would be. I'm going to open up my my drive and see if I can update that doc so that the public version will have everything in it. So let me see if I can get there.
I just put the links to the Miro board again in the chat, so you don't have to go looking for them. And I'll just do the screenshots here because, of course, I use somebody else's Discord to do the Mid-Journey, so there's not a good way to do these. But they did come out interestingly. So it's a lot of fun. And I'm amazed that Mid-Journey actually spelled honey in a somewhat correct order.
Let's see.
Let's see your screen, Xtine. That would be
I'm gonna see if I can make it so that this will. This will update. Oh, it's going to take me too long. It's going to take me longer than I want it to, so I'll do it after we're out. So thanks, Mark. I'm happy that you like it and participated, and it's kind of a fun project because it's starting to take on its own life form a little bit, and I, really feel like when you get out of the place where when you get to a space where other people are contributing in a way that makes me think about the project differently, that's where that's the fun spot to be in. So I feel like I've kind of hit that mark in a nice way, and just want to kind of keep it going. Yeah.
But now I have another question, which is, so I keep thinking about this project, and I love that it's got it's got just, it has these tiny little gestures. But what do you say to the students' parents who are like, I told you poetry didn't pay. Look, it pays one penny. That's what I mean. I don't think that's in the gesture at all, because I think I love the ethos of it, but for some reason that keeps sticking in my mind.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, I do teach at USC, so money is on people's minds in a different way.
I got it.
I'm still paying for my USC degree.
Oh,
I will never stop.
Listen, if you need an extra penny to pay for that degree, I've got a job for you.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, what do I say to those parents? I don't often interface with the students' parents, I think, on such a one-to-one basis, but generally, I think what we are teaching our students is how to think for uncertainty, right? How to be citizens who can plan and think and be motivated in a time of great uncertainty.
Well, I think too, like you said, the culture jamming aspect of this is really important, because we do see a lot of culture jamming on social media platforms. The use of the social media platform itself to disrupt the platform. I mean, we've seen it with Twitter, we've seen it with Facebook, to the point that like there's whole new terminology now around that. I mean, that Facebook groups, they call it getting zucked. If Facebook wipes them out, and all these sorts of things. And it's really interesting because we've seen it with Amazon reviews, right? Like the Bic for her pen, where everyone sort of posted satirical reviews of like, oh, thank God there's a pen now for me. I couldn't do math before, but now that I have a pen made for women, that sort of thing. And it's this exact sort of thing that that disrupts those platforms, and sort of points at the ridiculous consumerism and capitalism. I don't think anybody's buying a Bic for her pen in order to make the satirical post. They're just posting reviews. So it's very interesting to see all of these phenomena that happen with it.
Yeah, and I mean that is the this is definitely the culture jamming the intervention project. It's not the get paid project. But that's, I mean, I think that's the point, right? That's what you try to sell, I guess, to the parents of like, hey, if your kid can learn to think critically about how they're using the media that they're using or making, or both, they may be better prepped to also work in the industry. And like maybe this one penny poem is just part of the process.
Yeah. Oh, Christine, if I may steal your
Yeah.
thunder here for a moment or
Please.
whatever. But I know you might not have a chance to see these, and can you see my screen here?
Oh yeah.
So that's the Celtic knot Tupperware, but this was Mark's poem.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh
I can make it a little bit
wow.
bigger, I think. Yeah, actually. So there's Mark's poem, "My life lives on honey called money, must be so sitting on hoards of money." And I love this one, actually. I really,
Oh yeah, that
I
is
just
beautiful.
enamored with the butterflies leaving the page.
Totally. That's gorgeous.
Wow.
And
And did
yeah,
you
so
feed
this
these
is version
into
4 of Midjourney.
Oh, which one is it?
This is version 4 of Midjourney, and you can make
Midjourney.
variations on, and as Patrick Leahy was explaining in the last one, if you wanted to make subtle variations, you happen to like one, U3 or U2, you can make variations upon variations upon variations and just keep going. And you can make these larger if you want, but this is the one that I really love. Seeking labor that doesn't feel like it's slowly peeling my skin off.
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah, this
Yeah.
is like a whole new direction.
Yeah.
I will
And then of course you can
absolutely
get
incorporate
variations
those.
upon variations upon variations. And so
Beautiful.
I will stop sharing now, but
I love it.
this
Oh
is where
yeah.
you might subvert. This is where I was thinking you could subvert the AI engine or something as well, because these are also public. You can go into the Midjourney and
Yeah.
see what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
So,
Jeff Bezos on a rearing horse.
On horseback.
Oh, it's very Putin-esque. Oh, you're muted, Dina.
they are funny. I was I muted the whole time?
No, just for a second.
Okay,
last
just now.
couple seconds.
But they are on the Miro board, so people can go see them. And if you want me to put in variations, I'd be happy to generate them.
That's amazing. I think that's the next step, is like adding those graphics to the Instagram posts for sure. That's like brings a whole new flavor. That's what the Unconference chapbook will include. It will include the Midjourney riffs on our poems. Perfect. Thank you.
And I don't think you need to worry about it, the fact that it's one penny. I mean, the value of a penny, when you consider the fact that at some point, maybe our consciousness may be downloaded into various bodies, so we can live centuries and centuries and centuries in the future, that one penny may become as valuable as 10-carat diamond is today, for all we know.
Well, that's a beautiful idea, Nancy, and it also speaks back to the sort of the imaginary construct, right? That we can reimagine the one penny in its variations for the future. We can speculate. So that's great. I love that idea.
Hoard your pennies.
Yeah. Well, these are all really terrific. If the organizers will promise to send me the meeting chat, and maybe what I'll do now is refresh that page so you can see them from that link, and I can also put that into the Discord channel. I will definitely be taking all of these poems to Midjourney and making some payments and some posts. I'm just posting them on my Instagram page, which is just my name. It's just me, just Instagram/xtine burrough, like that. That's where I'll post them. I a long time ago toyed with having a different account for different projects, and that just never really works out very well because people have to find you and stuff. Payments are not, payments are forthcoming if you've left me a Venmo or a PayPal account. Otherwise, I will bring you a penny though to some future conference. I'm sure we will see each other in person at some future conference, and you can hold me to bringing a penny for you.
And actually, that was just a warning to all. That was my poem there.
I love it. I love it. We can wait for this or not. That's great. Yeah, this was just terrific. Thank you so much for participating and for all your really great ideas and moving the project forward, really moving it kind of energetically and giving it some fresh ideas and fresh thoughts. And I will follow up, Lyle, with Stella wisdom, try to find. But it's fabulous. Thank you.
Just drop me a line.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So I think thank you very much to xtine for this wonderful workshop. I think this was great fun. And again, I've tried to put everything as much as I can into the Miro board. And so we can revisit that, and I will be organizing it a little bit so that everyone will be able to find it. And I will put a link. I will put the meeting chat will be in the Miro board and Discord when we're all done with the conference. And the recording will go on YouTube. Unless anyone has any objections, please let me know if you do. And I will either do some studious editing or what have you, but please sort of put it in writing so that I can keep track of things. And we'll take a little break now. At 3:30, we have another artist talk coming up with Johannes Truens, who was last year's winner of the New Media Writing Prize. And he's going to talk about future humans. So that's in 15 minutes back at this bat time, this bat channel. So feel free to put your keep your camera on black off and your mute button on, and we'll be back here in 15 minutes. Thank you so much. And you can continue to post poems.
Thank you.
Like,
yes, absolutely.
And Lyle, I'll go ahead, and I've got the chat saved, and I'll just email that to xtine right now.
Grand.
So that will help a bit.
Thanks a lot, Dina. I appreciate that. I have to hop off. Sorry, I have to hop off to go teach a class because now it's that time. But I think I read that everything is recorded because I really like to see the.
Yeah, we are as
other
much as possible
workshops.
recording everything, and it will be on the New Media Writing Prize YouTube channel.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
All right. Little break, 15 minutes. We'll be back.
Yay.